Okay, so looks like everything worked. All right, so this is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard, and today we're going to talk about psychic vampires. Energy vampires. Do they exist? The answer is yes, they do. So we're going to talk about that and what that all means. Sorry, I just have to get my little thing set up here. So we need to remind you to subscribe and hit the bell button so you know whenever I'm going to be online talking. All right, energy vampires. Do they exist? Yes. Yes, they do. Now, if you've followed me, you may find this kind of shocking that I am saying that they exist. Because before we get into anything having to do with psychic vampires, and I'm sure as more people come on, I'm going to have to continue to repeat myself over and over again, but nothing in this universe, no being, no God, no devil, no entity, no person, nothing in this universe can harm you in any way whatsoever unless you yourself not only allow it, but invite it. I'm just realizing I have chocolate milk on my face. So let me just be clear about that. Yes, energy vampires do exist, and they exist in very intense ways, but you are 100% responsible for them. And there's varying levels of energy vampires or psychic vampires. There's differing levels of them. You've heard me say recently, and I need you to listen very carefully to how I word this. I have come to find that there are people in the world who are, in fact, demons. They're not possessed by demons. They themselves are demons in the making. And I'm going to explain how that is. There are people who are possessed by demons. There are people who are oppressed by them. The vast majority, I'm going to tell you this before we go any further, the vast majority of people who believe they are possessed, who believe that demons are attacking them, most of them, I'm going to say 95% of them, are actually not being harassed or possessed by demons. They just happen to be emotionally disturbed or mentally disturbed. But I know I have experienced it. I was an exorcist for years. I've looked demons directly in the face, and I know that they exist. But it's very rare, very, very rare. So even if you come on here, I know just having this, there's going to be tons of people come on here after it's archived. People will comment and talk about it, and the vast majority of them are just nuts. They're victims, and they need to go to therapy. They don't have any demon issues, and we'll talk about that. I'll talk about how people become demon possessed and all that kind of stuff. And let's see, how many people do we have on here? Got 11 viewers. So again, anybody who's new to this, if you're new to my channel, like Jack958, I'm only interested in questions. This is not a free-for-all discussion. I'm not interested in your thoughts, your opinions. I'm interested in your questions. If you have a question for me and it's serious, write the word question in all caps. Then you can normally the whole thing doesn't have to be in all caps, but I want to be able to see that you have a question. And then write your question, make sure that it's well thought out and you use good grammar and I can understand what you're saying. And I will answer it. Anybody who's a troll comes on here, even a troll is somebody who just takes up a lot of time typing in things, I'm going to block you. Okay? This is a question and answer only. So let's get started. So first let's talk about your energy body, because this is important to know. If you understand how your energy body works, then you'll have a better understanding of what happens when somebody can steal your energy. So, you are made up of 3 cells. You have your soul, which sits here in your heart center. You have your higher self, which gives you advice when you're open to it. It doesn't force it on you. You have a lower self. The lower self is very important when it comes to energy vampires and how they work. Your lower self is where your unconscious and your subconscious mind are. This is where all of your emotions sit. This is where all of your human psychological feelings and constructs, this is where your identity is. Now you have a true identity, an eternal identity, which is your soul. But your soul, in order to interface with this world, has to use an avatar. Just like video games. You know, you're not the video game, you have an avatar, and your avatar has limitations, and it's a, you know, if you're playing whatever World of Warcraft, I don't know how it's played, I'm just assuming, and you decide you're going to be the dwarf character, so you know he has his inherent abilities of his species, his inherent mind, and there's only certain things he can learn how to do. Your soul needs this also. Your soul needs an avatar that is your human identity. Your human identity will be created based on a lot of things. But in this life, what's most important is going to be your experiences, and of course your brain has a lot to do with it, but especially your experiences as an infant and a child. That is what's going to determine what creates your avatar. And many people have fully formed functioning avatars, and many people have broken avatars, and there are people out here, energy vampires, who have no avatar. This is why they are so dangerous when it comes to their energy. Now, there are people who are energy vampires who do have avatars, they do have identities, but you know, they're just simply very codependent. You know, they've got some mental issues, some psychological issues. They're not completely bonkers. They're just those pains in the asses that are always complaining or always manipulating, or you know, we'll talk about those. Those are energy vampires, but they're very easy to, you know, you can shoo them away. Real energy vampires are a whole different deal. And once you get pulled into their world, it can be extremely toxic. And so I want to help you identify that. So I was telling you about your energy body and how it works. So you've got your soul here, you've got your higher self, you've got your lower self, which has where your avatar is, where your identity, your human identity, your infinite identity is your soul, but your soul needs to connect with your human identity avatar. And that is very important. As I said, a clear identity will then grant you the ability to empower yourself and empower your boundaries. And this all has to do with psychological boundaries, all of it. And the legends about vampires like Dracula and things like that, those mythologies actually teach us about how to avoid people taking our energy from us. We'll talk about that. So then you have your energy body. Your energy body is maintained by a lot of different things. So the health of your physical body creates a strong energy body. Your clear sense of self in your avatar, that creates a strong energy body. Your mental and emotional well-being creates a strong energy body. Your physical well-being in terms of what you put in your body. It's extremely important that you understand what I'm about to share with you. Taking any kind of external chemical, whether it be prescription drugs, whether it be drugs just for fun, whether it be power plants, entheogens, hallucinogens. All of these are extremely damaging to the energy body. I do not recommend it. I do not recommend taking entheogens. I do not recommend ingesting THC. I do not recommend doing ayahuasca. Of course, drugs like heroin, blah, blah, blah. But all of these things are incredibly injurious to the energy body. And what ends up happening when these chemicals force your brain to release things like DMT and other things. When you are forced to have that experience, what ends up happening is your aura gets torn wide open. You may have the experience that your energy body is increasing, but that's actually because energy is leaving you. You may have a vision. You may see a god or a goddess, or you may see hell or demons or the underworld. That is because your aura, your protective energy, has been torn violently open. The only way that entheogens can be helpful to you is if you do have a true shaman master who can do the songs and do the drumming in order to help protect you from any outside forces and to help guide you from getting lost in your own unconscious narcissism, which is in your lower self. If you have a fractured lower self and you take entheogens, you will take a trip into your fractured underworld, which will be the same as going to hell, the bad hell. So those have a strong effect on the bodily organs. So the bodily organs, the 5 elements. We talked about the 5 elements. You have ether, which is your liver. Your liver is the first one. Any poison that comes into your liver will damage your energy body. The liver is the spiritual depository of resentment. So the liver actually, when you are in danger, creates a strong energy, a very martial type of energy around your body. But continuous resentment eats away at the liver's ability to keep itself together. The lungs, this is where we process grief. If you have grief that is not taken care of, the lungs will have an effect on the energy body. The stomach area has a lot to do with your ability to comprehend life. When you're in confusion and ungrounded and nothing is clear, that will affect your energy body, as well as your physical health, by the way. I've come to find out, I'll say this, healthy psychological boundaries are the most important thing to have if you want to prevent yourself from getting diseases like cancer. The first thing you should be doing, besides going to see a healthcare professional, is to begin analyzing your boundaries with people. Every single person, without fail, every single person that I've known or worked with who had cancer had boundary issues, deep psychological boundary issues, and some of them were on such an unconscious level that I couldn't help them. And some people are in denial; they're just unwilling to face it. So, this is all put together. So all of the organs, I won't go into all the organs, but all of the organs of the body help to empower your psychological boundaries. So now let's talk about vampires, energy vampires. All right, again, I just want to say to everybody, please hold off on all of your comments. I'm not interested in your comments. Please only write your questions, because now there's this whole thing of comments that I'm going to have to scroll through to get to a question. If you have a question, you write the word question and write it out. I can't guarantee that I will be kind to you, because I tend to go straight to the jugular if I can tell that you're in some kind of denial about something. So again, just your questions is the only thing I'm interested in here. Vampires. You can protect yourself from vampires because vampires cannot enter your dwelling without your permission. This is what I said earlier. The only way that any entity or person or being can steal your energy is if you invite them to do so. So, vampires cannot enter your dwelling unless you invite them in. Vampires are afraid of the cross. Now, you may think that's because the cross represents Christianity. No, that's not it. A cross, a true cross, like if we were to take this symbol and take out these diagonal branches, all you'd have is north and south and east and west, a cross. The ancient symbol for shaman in the Chinese language is an equilateral cross, what we would call a Celtic cross. It means Wu. Wu means shaman. Why is that? Because a shaman balances. The cross represents the equilateral, the Celtic cross represents a balance in the physical world. And vampires, energy vampires of all kinds, they thrive on imbalance. So whenever there is a balance that is created, that drives them away. So that's why they're afraid of the cross. They cannot look at their own reflection. This is very interesting. So they will, if there's a mirror, they'll swipe the mirror, destroy the mirror. That is because they have no identity. And I talked earlier, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it after it's been archived. In the lower self of the three selves in your body, your lower self is where you create your human identity that your soul uses as an avatar. When there is no human identity, the energy vampire has no sense of self. That's why they feed off of you. They feed off of your emotions. They feed off of your sense of self. That's why when you're around them, you start to lose your sense of self. You don't know who you are. You start to feel that you have no value or worth. That is the very real state of energy vampires who exist in this world. They live off of your sense of self. They live off of your sense of value. They live off of your emotions. They seek you out. They target you for two reasons. One is they see that you are broken, that you are empty, you're sad, you're lonely, you don't trust the universe to empower your energy, which is bad boundaries. They'll see that in you, and they'll see that you need something or somebody. And then they will see that you have emotions. Energy vampires, there will be some aspect about them where they will lack empathy. There will be some part about them that will be sociopathic. It's not complete. There's some of them have some feelings, but there will be a superficiality to it. And when it comes to the damage that they cause you, they will have no empathy for you. So this is, I'm talking about real things. This is, when you hear me talking about it, this is what a classic narcissist is. Not somebody who's narcissistic. People are narcissistic. I'm narcissistic, so are you. We all have our own narcissisms. But a narcissist, a true narcissist, is somebody who has no value on anybody. Everybody is just a bot in their world that they use for their own pleasure, and they don't care what happens to you or what doesn't happen to you. You only have value in what you give to them, and outside of that they could care less. And so these are caused by most often caused by very traumatic childhoods and damage and abuse and neglect and all kinds of other horrible things. So as I'm talking about them, I'm not trying to demonize them. They're not evil people. They're very damaged. And I have tremendous sympathy for them. Having said that, you cannot have a relationship with a true energy vampire. You cannot. Unless they seek some kind of help. It can't be done. All right, so did we talk about vampires? So vampires can't come into your house unless you invite them. That's true with all energy vampires. You cannot be affected unless you invite them into your world, into your life, into your energy. They cannot tolerate being shown their true essence, which is they have no identity. If you show that to them like a mirror shown up to them, it will devastate them and they will flee. If you become balanced in your life and you present boundaries to them which will create balance, they will reject you and run away from you. So you can protect yourself in all those same ways. The cross represents psychological boundaries. Not letting them in your house means you don't invite them into your life. And, we could even say garlic. What does garlic do? Garlic, it smells bad, but it's an antioxidant. So it means living and breathing and taking physical care of yourself. All you have to do, one drink of alcohol, one Vicodin. Any external chemical like that opens up your boundaries. Now, I don't drink. I haven't drank alcohol in years. And as a result of that, when I'm around anybody who's had any alcohol, I sense it immediately. I can sense their liver processing alcohol, and I can sense that they become, because the liver holds resentment. When the liver is under attack, which is what happens when you drink alcohol, the first thing that happens is the liver has to process it. People become belligerent. They become belligerent because the liver is now fighting for its health. Somebody's really drunk, they're really belligerent. Now, they don't think they're belligerent. They're laughing and they're happy. But, I notice it like when, wherever I'm living, if people have a party, it's really quite uncomfortable hearing them. I can feel the belligerence. I can feel the unconscious desire to bother people around them so that they will know that they exist. This is why people party. People party and make noise because they don't feel they exist. They don't like their lives, or they've worked too hard, and so they laugh really loud and they make a lot of noise so that people will know they exist. This is one of the things that happens. So the what do you call that? The garlic represents eating healthily and keeping the body healthy, and when you do that, having those boundaries once again will push away any kind of influence that wants to steal your energy. So there are humans, and I've experienced it now. I now know there are 2 people that I've had contact with over the past year who now I know when I'm in their presence. And here's the interesting thing about them is that when you're in their presence, what will happen is they will come across very happy-go-lucky, very sweet, very kind, and they may actually not be, the narcissists they're pretending. It's a complete sham. But there are other kinds, other personality disorders that they honestly are very nice, sweet, kind people on a conscious level. They don't mean anybody any harm. They just like to be with people and have fun, and they're usually very gregarious and sometimes very sexual and very, very charming and enticing. And so when you're with them, you will have this experience of you're with this nice person, but there will be this feeling that will start to come over you, where you will start to feel uncomfortable and unsafe. And more often than not, what happens is after you've spent a couple hours with them, then you go home, and then all of a sudden you start to feel this anxiety coming into you, and like in the pit of your stomach, there will be this feeling of something is wrong. That is a sign. I've found that's a sign you're with somebody who has a major psychological personality disorder. And you won't notice it when you're with them. In fact, they will seduce you into feeling safe and loved and happy. And it's either when you go home that you feel it, or after you've been with them for a while, then they'll start to change on you. Then you start to see what's really going on under the surface. But by then the hooks are in and it's too late. and then it takes a lot to get out. So those are human energy vampires. There are spirits, but it's the same thing. Spirits, I said this earlier and I'll say it again, that every demon that is floating around in the ethers was once the lower self of a human. Every single one. Forgive me, protein drink. Before humans, there was no such thing as a demon as we know it. And so that's why there are people walking around who are in fact demons. In their lower self, they are creating this energy vampire demon. Now, demons are the same as any human being in that they are spirits who are running away from their eternal identity. That's why they're afraid of the sun. What is the sun? Again, vampire. He can't be in the sun. What is the sun? The sun is the soul. In fact, the word soul, S-O-U-L, is the modern pronunciation of the Old English Sawul. There is a rune, Sawul, S-A-W-U-L, and it looks like an S. And it represents the sun. Sawul means the sun. And so at one point in time, the word sun and soul was the same word. Yeah, my son. Oh yeah, the soul in the sky. It meant the same thing. So a vampire can't be around the eternal soul, which means that they themselves are running. They are running from their soul, which means it's killing them, it's pulling all their energy, and so in order to survive, they feed off of others. Demons are the same way. They will feed off of your feelings. And so, but those demons were once a human, inside of a human being. They were the personality of a human being. And so this is why it's important that you do everything in your power to live from your soul, because if you do that, your lower self will then become whole and complete. Your lower self, when you die, goes out into the world. It can go out as a ghost. It can go out and become a nature spirit. But it is a spirit that is seeking to become a human soul. And so whenever a child is born, you'll have three souls come together. One will be the higher self. One will be the infinite soul, which is what is there to experience life. And then a lower self will come. And those three selves fuse to create the human being. This is why you can have people who are insane. It means that for whatever reason, for whatever karmic reason, they have attracted one of these lower selves that are fractured and don't have an identity. And so that they must get help to be able to connect to their true self. This is why, if you want to know why 12-step groups work, like for alcoholics, drug addicts, because the 12 steps actually are a brilliant psychotherapeutic way of balancing and creating a self. But there's that part of it that says you have to have a spiritual connection. You have to have a connection to a power greater than yourself. The 12 steps won't work without both of those things coming together. Because you have to have a connection to your soul, and that's all that a spiritual practice is. That's all a belief in a power greater than yourself is. In fact, your soul can be your greater self. They say the spirit of that the kingdom of heaven is within you. It means your soul, God is within you. Your soul is God. So you can worship your own soul. But you understand that your identity as a human is off base and something about it is broken or fractured, and you want to align it with the soul. And this is all that meditation is. This is all that spiritual practice is. That's why they work so well. So a vampire can't be in the sun, meaning he can't tolerate looking at his own soul because he's running from it. All demons are the same. This is why in Buddhism, in the Buddhist tradition, what they've done is they will, if a demon arises, instead of casting it out or destroying it. What they'll do is they will convert the soul to Buddhism. So many of the Tibetan Buddhist deities were shamanic spirits that were sent against in black magic. They were sent against the Buddhists, who then used their powers to convert them to Buddhism, and then they became these protective spirits. That's why you see all those weird demon-looking things in Tibetan Buddhism. But the principle is still the same. So, anyway, those are some of the things we can start talking about. Again, this is a question and answer. I'm not interested in anything other than a question. I'm seeing these huge paragraphs of people who feel the need. This is not a free-for-all discussion. If somebody starts writing too much and not asking questions, I will start blocking it. It's nothing personal. I only want to hear your questions. If you have a question, write the word question, and then in all caps, and then in normal script, write your question well thought out so that I can understand it. Again, anybody becomes a troll, I will get rid of them. All right, so again, here I have to scroll through all of the... So Gareth, I need you to write the word question, otherwise I'll miss it. I almost missed it. Son of Lilith, I almost lost your question. Write the word question so I see it. Son of Lilith, can psychic vampirism be used in a positive way? Of course not. Why would you ask such a question? There's no such fucking thing. Gareth, is there an opposite of a psychic vampire? Yes, it's called a normal human. A normal, healthy human. That gives instead of taking? Yes, it's just called being a normal person. Follow your soul, the path of your soul, and that will allow you to give wherever you go. Then you can meet your own desires and be happy, and other people will be empowered by you living your life and being a happy person. Okay, again, I'm not interested in your thoughts. Jack 958 question, how can I deal with an energy vampire? The longer your question, by the way, I know that you're trapped in your head, and you're also trying to force me into accepting your assumptions. So remember I said earlier, be careful about your questions, because I'll know if you're full of crap. And sometimes I won't answer your questions, but I'll get to what is really going on underneath. I suspect that's going to happen with this question. Let's see. Jack 958 question, how can I deal with an energy vampire when I do not have the option in that situation to keep enough physical distance between us? I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about? I mean, is somebody coming up to you and grabbing you and forcing you? What do you mean? How is that possible? First off, how old are you? I mean, if you're 14, are you being physically assaulted by a parent? Call the cops. Are you talking about in school? But if somebody's on the other side of the room, that's not going to be enough. They can't do anything to you unless you're allowing it to happen. So you don't have the option in that situation to keep enough physical distance. It doesn't matter if they're sitting right next to you. If you don't engage with them, they can't do anything to you. But there's no reason that you need to stay next to somebody unless we're talking about, they live in your house. And if you're living in proximity to somebody that you believe is a psychic vampire, then move. Take responsibility. You're wanting me to buy into your assumption that you don't have any control or responsibility, and you do. So without telling me more of the information, I can't give you a direct answer, except that I think you're full of crap because you want me to think you're a victim. You can get up and walk away. You can move, live somewhere else. You have plenty of options. You don't have to be forced to be so close to somebody that they steal your energy, unless you're a kid and you're forced to live in a home with really screwed up parents, in which case you can still get help. Okay? Daniel B. question, are energy vampires physical people or incorporeal beings? Both. Ian Sanders, ask a question. Mother being a vampire, question mark, is not a question. Ask a full question. Let me just say something. This is one of my pet peeves. I think two of the most powerful things necessary to have a good life is to pay attention and to put effort. Doing that, throwing 3 or 4 words together as though that's a full sentence, that shows laziness on your part. And it shows me that you don't put effort into your life. That's what I see. That's one of the things I see that's happened with people, especially if they've grown up. If they've grown up with devices and the internet, it's made very lazy people. So, show me that you have some ability to put effort into things, and that you can pay attention. Paying attention and putting effort. Those are the two things. Do that in everything in your life, and you'll see a lot of success. All right. Again, I don't want to see anything unless it's a question. So again, if I see the same name just dropping big, comments, I'm going to get rid of you. I don't want that in my space. I only want to see the question. And I knew that this topic would bring out all the nutbags. So again, everybody, if you have a question, write the word question. Question. Blah, 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 question mark. How can I protect myself from them? I've already told you. Empower your own boundaries, your psychological boundaries. If you don't know what boundaries are, go put some effort in and look it up. You can also do Qigong. You see up here the links here. Energyhealing.thunderwizard.com is one thing. Go to those links. See if any of those work for you. Ashley Apollo Channels. Question. How can we slowly leave relationships that are draining us and no longer for us? Why do you need to leave slowly? Why would you leave slowly? Why not just leave abruptly? If what you say is true, that they're draining you and they no longer are for you, meaning they're not serving you, what do you get from getting out slowly? When I was married, I'm not married anymore, but I was married, and there were times, I broke up with her 3 times until we finally got a divorce. But we broke up twice, then we got married, and then we got divorced. But I remember once something that happened. There was a disagreement, and she said something that was incredibly disempowering and on so many levels, and I just left. She went to work one day. I gathered up all my stuff. I moved out and got an apartment. Came back and said, I've left. And it's because you did this, 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 and this, and I'm not going to be with somebody who does that. So why do you need to go slowly? If it's because you're afraid of being physically assaulted, that's why you call the cops. The cops will come over, and the cops will stand there while you gather your things, and they know, and you can put a restraining order. So there's no reason to do it slowly. Just get out. Own it and get out. Phil Simmons' question: how can you and a narcissistic family member be physically living? How can you and a narcissistic family member be physically, although living away from each other? What are you saying? Again, please, guys, put some time and effort into it. That's not. Does that sound like a well thought out question? How can you and a narcissistic family member be physically, although living away from each other? There's no question there. Try again. Matthew Videt's question: is homosexuality caused by demons? No. It surprises me you even ask that. No. Homosexuality is something people are born with, and it is perfectly normal and wonderful, and it's there. The universe has given them that gift to go enjoy it. You don't have to understand it. I don't have to understand it. That's what they enjoy. No, it's not caused by demons. R. Lavales: how can I protect myself from them, sir? I already told you. You want me to tell you again? 2 things. Put effort into and pay attention. So pay attention. Have healthy emotional boundaries. If you don't know what that means, put the effort into finding that out. Healthy emotional, psychological boundaries are the most powerful thing. If you don't have that, you can get some spiritual practice. I've got links up here. Go and follow my links and find some things that will be helpful for you. You want me to give you a blue pill? Take this pill, you'll be protected. It doesn't work like that. Sorry. Zarelaf, question. If I have strong chi and living my soul desire, does that heal others in my presence unconsciously? Yes. Daniel B, question. How do we sense incorporeal energy vampires? Why do you need to sense them? You either sense them or you don't. Again, remember what I just said. Everything I said in the beginning, you have to listen to. No being, whether it's a human or whether it's a demon or whether it's a god or whether it's nothing can harm you without your conscious permission. So if there's an energy vampire entity around you, it's not going to harm you if you are empowered within yourself. You don't need to sense them. They can sense you just fine. You know, I'm a surfer, and I'm in Australia now, but where I used to surf in Southern California is an area that is a nursery for great white sharks, which means that the big mother sharks drop off the little tiny great whites and leave them there, and then they swim around in this whole area and they grow until they become adults, and then they leave and then they go feed on the seals. So great whites, because they're so big, they think they're tiny even though they're like 6 feet or 8 feet long. They're big enough they could completely consume a human, but they don't realize that because they're so tiny. In any case, where I used to surf on a daily basis, if you took a drone out and you flew over the ocean, you would see the great whites just out of sight of all the surfers. So the great whites knew the surfers were there, but they were afraid of them because they thought they were these little tiny sharks. And so they stayed just far enough away so that they wouldn't harm you. That is the same with any negative entity. Negative entities will not come in your presence unless there is something for them to feed off of. And the only way that something will be there to feed off of is if you have psychological flaws in your boundaries, which you are fully responsible for. And that's a whole other thing. This is everything I teach. Every single thing I teach will empower your boundaries. People say, how do I protect myself from them? Go to all of these links and find whatever you want that appeals to you and do it. It will help your boundaries. It will protect you from negative people and negative entities. Whether it's following your soul desire and living your soul, whether it's doing energy work, whether it's doing shamanism, all of those things will protect you, because all of those things will feed you and help you to live from your true soul. Let's see here. So again, I'm gonna start looking at the people who feel the need to talk to each other, and eventually I'll start blocking people. All right. Here we go. Matthew Vides, please do not talk to each other. I want to be able to find the questions, and I have to scroll through all this garbage. Phil Sims, question: can you end a narcissistic family be physical? I'm sorry, do you speak English? Maybe you don't speak English. I don't understand what you're saying. Can you end a narcissistic family be psychically connected although living away from them? What do you mean end a narcissistic family? You mean kill your whole family? End a connection? Again, if you speak English, put the sentence together so I know what the hell you're saying. Phil Sims, you don't sound like you're foreign, so I'm going to listen, pay attention and put effort, man. I don't know what the hell you're saying. R. Lavalle, question: do you think that the moon is a recycling center for souls? You have to understand that in context. I have a video. So there's the other thing. If you're new to my channel, please go and binge watch my videos on this channel. I have a video about that. The moon is representative of something. The moon, in the context that you're asking the question, the answer is no. It is not a recycling center for souls. Let me just do that. Freyanenya White question. May you block Juanita and Matthew? That's not a question. A question is you're asking me an honest question about something that I teach. You just wasted my time with that. That's not a question. I'll figure out who to block and when. Let's see, what else? Matthew Viday's question, is demonic possession of the human body real? Yes. Like the kind portrayed in The Exorcist? Yes. I know because I used to be an exorcist, and I saw basically everything you see in that movie except for the head spinning around. Other than that, yes. Please stop talking to each other, guys. Gamma Witch question, how do you recommend you protect yourself if you find out that you have a co-worker or boss that is an energy vampire but need the money to pay your bills? Well, again, let me tell you what I said from the beginning. No person, no being, nothing can steal your energy without your conscious permission. So all you have to do is just simply practice safe boundaries. If they walk into your, I don't know what kind of energy vampire, you're probably talking about the normal codependent kind, not those very serious kind that are demons within human form, or like the narcissistic personality disorder or the borderline personality disorder, or the really insane people. Those people are, but even then, the same thing. They can't harm you unless you buy into it and allow them to seduce you into it. So if somebody walks into your office and wants to talk, you say, hey, listen, I've got work I got to do. I'd love to talk with you about this, but I can't. Just have powerful boundary issues. If your boss is that way and you don't have that ability, quit your job and get another one. I will not tolerate any victim mentality. So if you are going to tell me you're a victim and you don't have choices and you have to have that job, I'm going to tell you that's not at all true. If your boss is such that he or she is making your life miserable and you cannot protect yourself, that is the sign of the universe saying it's time to get another job. So trust the universe, trust yourself, go take care of yourself and get another job. Other than that, just have boundaries. It's that simple, you guys. It's not easy, but it is that simple. Zaralath, thank you, sir, for the $5. I appreciate it. Juanita Richardson, okay. Again, guys, please stop talking to each other. Please. I'll block everybody. R. Lavallee, question. Do you believe that the Illuminati exists? So, you're new to my channel? And that most people in Hollywood are reversed genders? Let me just answer the first part of your question before I even tackle the second one. My first answer is, who gives a crap? Did you listen to what I've been saying? If the Illuminati exists, they can't do anything to you without your personal permission. What difference does it make? Whether the Illuminati exist or not means nothing. Are there people out there? Are there corporations? Are there people with lots of money who manipulate and control and lie? Yeah. So what? That's always been the case. If you mean the Illuminati, meaning that you're a victim of these people who can do this to you and do that to you and we're all these victims, no, watch my channel. Watch my channel because I talk about that a lot. So the question is, do they exist? Who gives a shit? They can't touch me unless I make myself open to them. Most people in Hollywood are reverse genders. What do you think? Do you honestly think that, and by Hollywood, do you mean the city of Hollywood? Do you mean all of the unemployed actors in Hollywood? Or do you mean just the successful one? You know what I find interesting about this whole Illuminati crap is that people they'll take a really successful musician or actor and say the Illuminati. And it's interesting that only the really successful ones, the ones that have a lot of money and fame, those are the Illuminati. But what about all the unemployed actors? I was an actor in Hollywood for years. I had a theater company. I co-founded a theater company. I did plays. I have been in television and films. Does that mean I'm part of the Illuminati? And does that magically mean I have reversed genders? Come on, man. Are you that much of a child that you honestly believe that? Wake the fuck up, please. Of course not. Of course they're not all reversed genders. They're human beings just like anybody else. Some of them are successful, some of them aren't. You know, the only reason people want to take celebrities and turn them into the Illuminati is that's their projection. They obviously feel, you know, they're jealous of other people's power and success and fame, and they want that. And because they feel so unworthy within themselves, they project that onto them and say, well, that's because they're aliens and Illuminatis. Nobody can get that famous. No, some people are talented and some people work really hard, and you know, some people aren't, and they're just really lucky. Keanu Reeves, what? You know, but that was a mean thing to say, but you get where I'm going with it. No, wait, come on. Grow up. Maxwell, question. It seems many are asking about their personal situations. Could you share some insight on how an individual becomes susceptible to an attack of psychic origin? Well, I already have. I don't know how I can do that more. Let's just take somebody who is a people pleaser. These are people who run around constantly taking care of others, taking responsibility for others. They get in relationships with alcoholics and drug addicts. They're constantly baking cookies for everybody. They're smiling all the time. They will say at some point, you will hear them complain and say something like, I don't ask for much. I give everything to everybody and they don't give anything to me. That is somebody who has bad boundaries and is setting themselves up to become taken advantage of by an energy vampire. And it can happen to any of us. It happened to me recently. That's why I'm doing this video. It happened to me recently and it was horrific. But it was because, I'll tell you exactly why. If you want another instance, I'll tell you exactly why it happened. My soulmate passed away a couple of years ago. The ultimate soul connection I've ever had. You know, I never thought it was possible to be fully, completely, totally fulfilled on every level as a result of a relationship. I would have told you that's not possible. No other human can ever do that. I had that. And I lost her. She died a little over 2 years ago. So I've been walking around with this hole inside of me looking for her replacement. And somebody with a very serious mental illness smelled it, saw it in me, targeted me, came after me. And all of the signs were there. In fact, all of those feelings I told you about were there. And literally the universe was coming to stop me. There were, I could feel the gates of hell surrounding me and the whole earth, you know, like getting lost on the road. You know, her getting bit by like an insect and had to go to the hospital when we first tried to meet. The universe was trying so hard to stop it from happening. But I allowed it in because of my need, my selfish need to try and turn her into my fiance who passed away. That's how I got myself into it. I did it out of my selfishness, out of my weakness, out of my my unwillingness to trust the universe to take care of me. I was looking for it in somebody else. So if you want to know, that's one of the ways that can be done. But generally speaking, you have to have good boundaries, good emotional, psychological boundaries. And if you don't know what that means, do some research. While we got that word out there, when people ask me, like, if I go off on the flat earth, this and that, I get these comments from people saying, you obviously haven't done your research. And to them, research means watching their videos that they watch. To them, research is watching 100 videos where people are telling you some story or giving you what they call facts. That's not research. Research does not entail how many videos you watch or how many television shows you watch or how many news commentators you listen to or how many podcasts you listen to. I don't care if you listen to 10,000. None of that qualifies as research. Research means that you look at both sides of an issue and you look at the verifiable data, or what we call the facts. And if you haven't done that, you don't know what research is. And the majority of people I've encountered on YouTube have no clue what true research is. They only know what people tell them, and they respond out of their emotions. A lot of people project onto the world that they're victims. Anybody that comes along and says, oh yeah, anybody in power, those people in power, they're lying to you, and they're this and they're that, and there's a secret lair underneath the pizza parlor in Washington, D.C., where children are feasted upon, and because it feeds into your fear and your feeling of worthlessness, you think it's true. I know. I've seen so many videos. I've done my research. Grow up. Let's see, what else? Please write the word question, otherwise I won't know what your question is. Yulia M., how about demons attack? I don't know what that means. Please, if you speak English well, I don't know if you do, please write a well thought out question. How about demons attack? There's not a question in that. I don't know what that means. I mean spiritually, how to set boundary. And they write in different symbols, mostly runes. No, they don't. I don't know where you're getting your information. Nothing can attack you without your permission. So if demons are attacking you, and as I said in the beginning, 95% of the time that people think they're being attacked by demons, they have emotional and psychological issues. I know because I've seen demons with my own eyes. And I know the difference when somebody's just insane or just really disturbed or just an emotional victim. And most people are just either insane or disturbed or have emotional, their victim issues. Based on your question, I don't think that you have had any experience with demons. I already know that your boundaries are all screwed up. You are getting wrapped up in the idea of demons because you have interpersonal problems, probably with family members or friends or significant others. You have emotional issues. My suggestion for you is to go get counseling. If you do that, the demons will go away. Let's see, what else? Ashley Apollo, channels. Question. Do you believe music is controlling our emotions? No. With the different hertz they are inserting in the background? No. I don't think that. Question. What's your take on sleep paralysis? It's a very real thing. Sleep paralysis is when you're dreaming, when you go to a certain state in the mind and you dream, in order to keep you from getting up out of the bed and walking through windows and sleepwalking, the body has a mechanism to keep you, and that's called sleep paralysis. You don't notice it most of the time because you're asleep. But sometimes when you have nightmares and you wake up from the nightmares and your nightmare is a demon attacking you, your body's in sleep paralysis and you wake up and you can't scream. It happens to me. It happens to me all the time. It's part of a normal human thing. So it's a very real thing. It's just a natural thing. It just means you're having a bad dream and you're waking up and your body hasn't adjusted to that and let go of the sleep paralysis, which is necessary to keep you from killing yourself in your sleep. Koya Moon, question. So through the Thunder Wizard path, we learn how to be the most potent form of ourselves so that these energy vampires cannot have power over us. Yep, couldn't have said it better myself. Koya Moon. This is why you should only ask questions, because if you say something like this, I'm going to call you on it. For all we know, flat Earth and round Earth exist at once. No, they don't. That tells me that you have problems disagreeing with people, that you want people to like you, you want to be accepted by people. And you're going to be like one of those people who lives in a family where you have a Republican and a Democrat and they're constantly fighting and you can't stand it. And so you'll say, you know what, I'm in the middle, and and like when people ask, what's your political background? Oh, I don't have a stance. No, it's one or the other. It's either flat or it's round. It's not both. Stop trying to placate everybody. It's okay to have an opinion, and it's okay to have people disagree with you, and it's okay to have an opinion. It's a sign of good boundaries to be clear on your opinion. So I just had to point that out. Average Joe question. Other than as a parasitical entity, do demons or negative spirits have any power over you? No. Meaning, as long as I center myself with Qigong, should I be safe? Well, Qigong isn't going to keep you safe if your emotional boundaries aren't intact. I do Qigong all the time, and I got sucked into a human parasite walking around. I got totally pulled into it, and it was very damaging to me. And that's because of my psychological boundaries. So no, you've got to have the other part of it. You can do Qigong all you want, and that'll definitely help. Qigong definitely helps to allow you the space to create healthy psychological boundaries, but if you don't have them, you can do Qigong all day. And you can still get, because you attract them. You attract them with your fear, with your insecurity, with your greed, with your whatever it is that you have within you that does not trust that the universe will provide everything that you need. That's why I go so hard on victims. People who believe in Illuminati, aliens, all that, they're victims. And what it really means is that they don't trust within themselves that they have the power to be their best self. Maybe they were brought up that way, maybe their parents shamed them, whatever it was, and so they project that onto the world and think that there are these big things out there that'll do harm to you. And as long as you have that, you are susceptible to something. We all have it to some degree. So that's why the first thing I teach is drop the fear and trust the universe. Anybody that starts talking about anybody being able to do anything to them without their control, I already know they haven't learned that and aren't practicing. That's okay. We're all working towards the best we can. But anyway, I think I answered your question. Juanita Richardson question, will you share a technique that can help one raise their level of energy from low to high? Juanita Richardson, are you new to my channel? All you have to do is go on to my free channel and do any one of the exercises that I give. This is where the 2 rules come in. You have to pay attention and put effort. So pay attention to my channel and look for the videos that I have on there and put effort to finding what you want. I've got over 600, 700 free videos on there. So that's what I recommend that you do. It's on there. Everything you need is on there. Find one that speaks to you. Find an energy practice that speaks to you. That will give you what you're asking for. If you want the easy way out, go up here to courses.thunderwizard.com and click on the Celestial Qigong. You want me to do it for you? Go to energyhealing.thunderwizard.com. You want to do it for yourself? Put the effort in and look on my channel. A lot of people don't know how to do what I'm about to describe, but depending on what device you're on, you can search within somebody's channel. So if you're on a desktop, for instance, and you go onto their page, like you would have to go to my YouTube page on YouTube, you will see, not in the bar above, but you will see next to the name thunderwizard.com, you'll see a little magnifying glass. You click on that, a search bar will come up. Type in whatever phrase or word you want to see what videos I have in my channel, and I would do that. I would search everything you want to think of and look at all the different videos I have. You know, put some effort into it. All right, let's see. Matthew Viday's question, can psychic vampires be spotted easier through videos? No. And looking at them retrospectively? No. That's garbage, nonsense, horseshit. Ooh, look, his eyes. You can see he's a reptilian. Oh, that's bullshit. Grow up. Zerlaf, question. Are vampires the only type of entity that attack our energy system? Vampires is just a word. No. Any type of entity, humans. I mean, it's a huge scale. You know, I've already told you about people who are people pleasers. They're not demons. They've got some issues. They've got some victim issues. They go around, they pretend, they give with always a string attached. They're passive aggressive. They're not horrible, evil people. They're just annoying. And then there's the full-on, full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, the bipolars, the borderline personality disorders. Those are walking demons, you know. And there's an even with that, there's a scale. Some of them, and again, they can't do anything to you unless you invite them in, unless you are actively seeking to run away from something within yourself. They can't touch you. That's why become empowered within yourself. Nothing can harm you. Nothing. Okay. Koya Moon, you just stepped in it again. I'm not gonna let you get away with that, Koya Moon. Sorry, I just lost what you said. Again, this is why you should only ask questions. Because if you throw out these things, you know, people do this when I've said something and it's pushed a button and they feel the need to defend themselves. But you're only digging a hole. I'm a shark. If I smell blood, which is denial on any level, I'm going to ruthlessly go after it. You and I have a connection, so I have a responsibility to be a good teacher. I'm not going to let you get away with this. I don't have an opinion on flat Earth. I don't believe you. Because I have no idea and I honestly don't care. What do you mean you have no idea? How can you have no idea? I don't believe you for a second. Again, I think you're just wanting to be accepted. You're afraid to be criticized by either people. You obviously do care because you mentioned it. You brought it up. I didn't bring it up. Which means that you have this need, and this is one of those things. You don't want to be isolated and criticized and rejected by either side, so you don't have an opinion. What do you mean you don't have an opinion? What do you honestly think about the Apollo 11 videos? I was alive when that was happening. My father is a physicist. Well, he's dead. He was a physicist. My father was a physicist. He worked on those things. He came home and worked on satellites. He came home in the 70s and showed photographs from satellites he had created and launched. Now, unless he was lying to me, which I don't think he was, then that really existed. Then the footage you see of round Earth, it really exists or it doesn't. It's either a fake or it's real. How can you not have an opinion? That means you're choosing not to have an opinion because you don't want to be harmed. I'm telling you, that's not a healthy place to live. I appreciate that you want to have peace and you want to connect with everybody and you don't want to be at odds, but I don't think it's healthy for you to choose not to have an opinion about something very real just so that you can avoid being attacked or criticized. That's a very unhealthy place to be. Own yourself. You don't have to go around telling anybody your opinion if you don't want. Or you can say, if somebody says, you know, flat Earth, you can say, you know what, I have an opinion, but I don't like talking about it because I don't really want to argue with anybody. That's a hell of a lot more powerful than saying, you know what, I don't care and I don't have an opinion. Now, if you're talking, let's say, astrology, and I have a thing about Vedic astrology versus Western. I think Western is off and it's inaccurate. I don't really care one way or another. If somebody wants to, it's not such a big deal that it's going to destroy the world. It's annoying, but it's not a big deal. Does global warming really exist? Is the Earth really round? Those are real questions having to do with science, having to do things that really affect our world, and it's important that people investigate those things and find out the truth of those things, because they have real effects on our life. You're choosing not to know about that? That's coming from codependence, my sister. It's not healthy. Okay? All right, I'll stop badgering you. But again, this is why people should only ask questions, because if I hear that and I see you defending and I see you're in denial, I'm going to come after it. If your denial's about from that space of weakness, of fear, I'm going to come after it. Okay? That's my job. Matthew Viday's question, what is the most... Where did we go? What is the most common trait that is shared most frequently amongst psychic vampires? I already told you. They're running away from themselves. Their eternal soul. They have either a damaged or a non-existent human identity, and they are seeking damaged people whom they can take advantage of and steal their energy from. So that's the most common trait. I don't know what you're asking. I apologize. I had the questions that got sent early by accident. Okay, all right. Juanita Richardson, yes to what? I don't remember what you're answering yes to. Maxwell, question, what would be the most effective way to overcome the fear of hurting others? The fear of hurting others. That's an interesting one. So the fact that you have the fear of hurting others already tells me that you have empathy. Because people who don't have empathy, who actually hurt others and don't care, they don't even know. I mean, I looked it in the face just recently. After somebody just did the most unbelievably cruel, torturous thing that has ever been done to me. And I looked them in the face and I said, can you understand why this is hurtful and confusing to me? And there was just this empty look. And then this annoyance. She had no idea what I was talking about. She had no empathy for me or for my feelings. And that's when I saw I was with a soulless person. Not a soulless person. She has a soul in there. She doesn't have an identity. As I saw, she doesn't have an identity. She has no idea what I'm talking about. She doesn't have those feelings. She's a sociopath in that regard. So you're not a sociopath. So now it makes me, first thing, you need counseling, straight up. You need to be with a psychologist, and you need to be finding out why you're so afraid of hurting others. Something's up. Something's broken in you. Your parents did a number on you. I don't know in what way, but you were shamed in some really broken way. And so the most effective way to overcome the fear of hurting others is just knowing that the fact you have the fear means that you're not going to hurt others. If you are honestly somebody who does hurt people, now if you're somebody who has hurt people, again, you need counseling. You need to get a sense of empathy if you don't have one. The easiest answer to the question is to listen to your soul. I've got a book. I recommend everybody read it. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Go up here to courses.thunderwizard.com, find my books, read that book. Do what's in that book, and then you can have all the fear you want. You'll know what to do. The other thing is, a feeling is not a fact. So wanting to overcome the fear is not as important as taking action to successfully avoid hurting people. So wanting to overcome the feeling is not what's important here. We have a society that's all about how they feel. And listen, I want to feel good all the time. And I live my life like that. Everything I do is so that I can feel good. But there's also having to have the ability to learn how to take action regardless of your feelings. Maybe you don't know how to do that yet. So in that book, I teach you what to do and how to take action. And when you go after what you need, if you have some broken issues, all kinds of feelings will come up, like fear and pain and anxiety. You just keep taking the positive action regardless of the feeling. So stop thinking about the feeling and start looking to find out what healing actions are and take those. And counseling will only help you. Daniel B. question, are you familiar with, do you recommend Kriya Yoga? Daniel B. I do not answer questions about other teachers or other paths. It's disrespectful to me. You're on my channel. Ask me about what I teach. Having said that, I am familiar with it. I don't have anything negative to say about it. Matthew Viday's question, how do we know which people are fake healers in the community who spread misinformation? Why do you need to know? Are you going around looking for healers? Why are you going around looking for a healer? How are you going to know if somebody's a fake healer? If they're a fake healer, what have you got to lose? They go and they do their mumbo jumbo and nothing happens. What have you lost? You're no worse off than you were before. If somebody's a real healer and they do a mumbo jumbo and you get healed, how are you going to know unless you go and find out? It doesn't matter. Why do you care? Listen, I do this energy healing thing, this new service. I'm getting more and more people are contacting me, and the interesting ones are people who didn't know that I did the healing on them. And they'll ask, when are you going to do my healing? Oh, I already did it. I did it on such and such day. Here's the email I sent you. And other people who do know, and they're saying things like, different feelings that they're having. Some people aren't having any experience. I already knew that going into it, that a lot of people wouldn't. And I'm okay if nobody has an experience. So how do you know if somebody's fake or not? Is if is if your life gets better. I don't know. What difference does it make? They can't harm you. In the community who spread misinformation. What is the community that spreads misinformation? Get rid of the victim mentality. There's the community. There's like a community that's going, let's spread misinformation. Yeah, they're out there. There's Russians out there putting fake information on Facebook, which a lot of you think are facts. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation spread out there. So what? What is the victim mentality you have around what are these other people going to do to you? Grow up. Also on the videos question, I meant behavior patterns. I had nothing to do with their eyes. No, same thing. You're looking, there's still this victim mentality in you. You're looking on video to see if after the fact they're this, or the people who spread the misinformation and the fake healers and why don't you focus on your thing? Here, do any one of my practices up here. Just focus on Celestial Qigong. Go get that. Do that. Forget about everybody else and listen to your own body. Get the power within yourself. And then it doesn't matter what anybody else does. Okay, what else? JR, question, how to do semen retention correctly? What makes you think that I teach semen retention? Again, if you're on my channel, ask questions about what I teach. If you're asking questions about things I don't teach, I take that as a personal offense. It means that you haven't put the time or the effort in to watch my channel to know what I teach. You're asking me about other things. And then there's an assumption in your question that semen retention is valuable. So based on that, I would tell you to do the same thing that I told other people. Go onto my YouTube channel page, find out how to do that, and find out how to search within my channel. There's a way to do it, and search for semen retention. And then you'll have hours of videos of me talking about it. Koya Moon, you cussed, and YouTube automatically blocks anything that's a cuss, but I'll let it show here. All right, so now we're getting honest here. Now at least you're being honest. Okay, I think NASA is bullshit. How? And then you say, but I don't have any verification or proof to back that up. So then how did you come to that conclusion? The only way you could come to that conclusion is by listening and being influenced by other people's opinions. And you must have a victim mentality within that in order to buy into the idea that NASA is out to lie to you. And let me ask, why? What does NASA gain by that? Nobody has ever been able to tell me how NASA gains by lying to you about the world being round. It doesn't give them any money. It doesn't give them any power. It does nothing for them. Let me give you a lie that people give that does give power. The oil companies are dependent upon your dollars to survive. If you don't buy gasoline, they go out of business. They lose trillions of dollars, hundreds of trillions of dollars. They have an incentive to tell you that human-caused global warming is a hoax. Because if you believe that, then you'll keep buying gasoline. Now, I haven't even addressed whether or not it is a hoax. I'm just telling you how to examine whether or not somebody has a reason to lie to you. I have no problem if somebody can prove to me that NASA is lying to us and they can prove to me what they're gaining from it. I have no problem with that. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing to be gained by it. The government doesn't give a crap, because if it did, we would be having a moon program and a Mars program. We don't have any programs to go anywhere, so the government doesn't give a crap. So it's not about the government. It's not about money. This is what I mean. How are they harming you with that? And the fact that you think they're bullshit, and as you say, you have no evidence to back it up, tells me that you're operating from your emotional agenda, and that I know part of it is you want to be accepted by the massive amounts of online people who say that it's bullshit, and that you have a victim mentality because you want to buy into that idea that somebody in authority is lying to you. I can tell all of that by that. I'll give you something that happened in my life, so I'm no different than anybody else in a lot of ways. For years, I believed that that 9/11 was a hoax, and it was perpetrated by the government in order to justify going to war in Iraq to take control of the Iraqi oil. Now, because I am a critical thinker, one of the questions you ask is, when is something partially true and partially false? So I do believe, without a doubt, it is true that the justification to go to war in Iraq was manufactured so that people in the U.S. could take over the oil fields in Iraq. But when I was watching the videos, I was doing research, and I was watching a bunch of videos about the 9/11 hoax, and I was watching all these videos from people and from scientists who said that this building couldn't have collapsed this way and this and that, and where were the planes and where are the missiles and who did this, and what happened, and all the things that, if you listen to it, there's plenty of hearsay evidence and even some potential scientific evidence. Remember, evidence is not proof that perhaps what they were saying was true, and I bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Until one day, because I am a critical thinker, I stopped myself and I said, do I have an emotional agenda here? I do. I have a strong emotional agenda against governments going to war to make money, because that's the reason why they do. And so I have an emotional agenda against that. And anything that pops up that pushes that button, I automatically want to believe that, because it serves my emotional agendas. And I said, do I have an emotional agenda to believe this? And I got honest with myself and I said, yes, I do. And then I realized I hadn't looked at any alternating theories. I hadn't even looked for it. So I typed in 9/11 truther debunked. And up came videos and articles from scientists, from architects, from builders, from aviators, who explained in detail how exactly what happened during 9/11 could have happened. And one of the buildings that supposedly people say, how did that one go down? A plane didn't even hit that. That's only because you didn't go to find out that it didn't get, on the front you see this perfectly intact building, but it fell down. But the building next to it, when it crashed, a lot of the building came in and smashed in from back and broke open gas lines and started a fire. So another building went on fire that wasn't hit. And all it takes is a little bit of actual research. So if you really want to know the truth, you have to be willing to look at both sides, and you have to be willing to look at your emotional agendas. Koya Moon, you have emotional agendas and you don't even know why you believe what you believe. It's an incredibly dangerous place to live. And if you're going to be my student, I'm going to keep calling you on it. But I appreciate your honesty. At least you're honest about it. Let's see, what else? Brooke of Ohio, if you have a question, write the word question. Could the ego / logistical mind be another type of energy vampire that attacks its host? No. That's a very self-destructive way of thinking about it. Your ego is yourself, your identity. Without it, you can't function. You wouldn't exist. And if you don't have an ego or an identity, you will become an energy vampire. So no, you need your ego. Your logistical mind is something else. People have this idea of what the ego is, and they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about half the time. In any case, your logistical mind is your intellect, and that's something altogether different. And your logistical mind is not an energy vampire, but it can be used by you to avoid your emotions. What you're trying to describe, I will explain to you. And if you're new to my channel, I welcome you. If you watch my channel long enough, you'll hear me talk about it and you'll learn it. But I'm happy to share with you again what it is. You have three minds. You have a conscious mind, which is what's listening to me right now. You have a subconscious mind, which has all of your driver's license number and things like that, things that you need to know, your mom's birthday, but you're not thinking about it. But if somebody says, when's your birthday? Boom, the answer comes up. You get it out of your subconscious mind. Your unconscious mind, which is like 85% of your mind, that has all of your fears, your gifts, your strengths, your past life issues, your false assumptions, your belief in gods and aliens and all of that. And in there, you have been programmed to live a certain way because you learned that's how you need to survive. And most of the time we're wrong. Now, these are things that we create when we're little kids in order to survive things when we're kids, but when we're adults, those things don't serve us anymore, but it's a program that's running all the time. That program, even let's say you're afraid of wearing sandals because once you wore sandals and you tripped and you cracked your tooth. So now you're afraid of sandals. Well, that's an irrational fear. But that's in your unconscious, and now you have this deathly fear of sandals. So that fear is trying to protect you. Now, when it's about like making money or having relationships, people have these fears of things that they actually need, and so they damage themselves because of those fears. Those fears believe they're protecting you. So what you're talking about is ego, is when your unconscious resistance comes up and works against you. It sabotages you in ways that doesn't help you, and you don't know why you do it. This is why you need counseling, why you work with a teacher, why you do spiritual practices, so that you can become aware of those things and then go, oh my God, my fear of sandals is irrational. I'm going to start wearing sandals. I just will get the right kind that I won't trip on. I'll get the right size. You can apply that to all kinds of things. So it's not an energy vampire. It doesn't attack the host. It's you on an unconscious level trying to protect yourself the best you can, but it ends up working against you. This is why the law of attraction as it is taught doesn't work, because conscious affirmations do nothing if your unconscious programming is different. So if you were led to believe as a kid that money was bad because your parents, for whatever, thought that if they were rich they would be attacked, and so they said we can't have too much money because somebody will steal it, and so you bought into that as a little kid and you were programmed to believe that money was bad. Then as you grew up, you're 25 years old and you're trying to be successful and you're trying to have a good career, but you keep sabotaging it. You don't know why. Nothing goes your way. And then you do some positive affirmations and you sit on the edge of your bed and you say, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be successful, and you think it's going to do something, and nothing happens. Well, those affirmations will not take hold because your unconscious mind will veto every single one. Every single positive affirmation that comes down and says money is good, say, nope, money is bad, money is bad. This is what you're talking about. So it's not a vampire, it's just a program trying to protect you that is inaccurate. And so becoming conscious of everything in your unconscious mind is important so that you can take conscious choice over your life. Jung said it perfectly. I don't know exactly his words, but he said something to the effect of, if you do not know what is in your unconscious mind, you will think it is fate. You will have no control over it. So you must become conscious of everything, otherwise you'll think it's happening to you. Stephen Fuller, question: how can you protect yourself during dream time or astral travel at night? Why do you need to do that? You're forcing an assumption down my throat that you're somehow more vulnerable at night when you're asleep than when you're awake. The rules apply whether you're awake or asleep, alive or dead. If you have power within yourself and you are within yourself, nothing and nobody can harm you. If you believe that you're unsafe at night, you're just as unsafe during the day. So you might as well just do the work, do the practice, get the counseling, figure out how to be empowered within yourself, and it won't matter. Just because you have a bad dream at night doesn't mean anything. I have bad dreams all the time. Doesn't mean anything. Is it possible that these vampiric people are just my projection? What vampiric people are we talking about? The ones in real life or the ones in your dream? The ones in your dreams are without a doubt your unconscious projections. If there are people in your life that are vampires, yes and no. They are your projection, but they are real people. They both exist at the same time. E minor, question. Where were you? When you give yourself a name, does the universe identify you as that name? A better version of this question is, how does the universe identify us as people? What do you mean by the universe? Let me just save us all some time. You are the universe. The universe isn't outside of you. The universe is you. So when you give yourself a name, do you identify as that name? A better version of this question is, how do you identify yourself as a person? Do you see your identity? Zerlath, question: is there energy work you know that can apply to my guitar and vocal performance? Any energy work. Lipstick Chick, question: has Ankine... didn't get to finish that question. E minor, would that manifest as a name? If you're going to write a question, you have to assume that I don't remember what you said before. Would what manifest as a name? Brook of Ohio, E minor, please don't talk to each other. Lipstick Chick, question: are animals able to spot demons easily? Yeah, I think so. I don't know why we care, but yeah, I think cats can see ghosts and dogs can see ghosts. You know, there was interesting, you know, my ex-wife used to train dogs, and I would do this thing where I would let myself sort of go into this really dark place, and I wouldn't do anything. I would just stand, and the dogs would be there wagging their tail, and then I would just and the dogs would start barking like they didn't know who I was. So I think they can see energy shifts, definitely. Are they scared of some humans and others they run towards happily? They are scared of some humans. Well, now we're just getting into, you know, some dogs are like people. And some dogs like people and don't like others, and some dogs are neurotic. And I don't think you can. Don't use that to see if somebody is a demon or not. That's just laziness. Is that because they can spot auras? They can spot auras, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just dogs are dogs. Dogs like some people and not others, and some dogs are friendly and some aren't, and some people, are look scary at first. Dogs bark at me all the time until somebody introduces me. So, that just no, that's too simple. Question: how did you process the crap you let the NPD dump onto you? Well, I didn't say it was an NPD. How did I process the crap you let? How did I process it? The same way I process everything. I did a lot of spiritual work. I'm still doing it. I still do my energy work. The Celestial Qigong, if you have that, I would go up here to courses.thunderwizard.com and get the Celestial Qigong. If you want me to use the stuff that I do to help you with it, you can go to energyhealing.thunderwizard.com, and I can be a part of that for you. Those are two options. Brooke of Ohio, yes, I had complete ego death and I'm having a difficult time surviving. No, you didn't. You did not have a complete ego death. Where did that come from? I don't know who you were talking to. You didn't have a complete ego death. If you had a complete ego death, you wouldn't be alive. Anybody who says, I've seen the light, I've become enlightened, I've awokened, I already know none of those things are true. The most conscious person on the planet, the best thing they can say is how they are aware of their unconsciousness, their destructiveness, the things they need to work on. Anybody who doesn't see that, and people tend to go in, extremes like that. So you haven't had a complete ego death. Koya Moon, okay, all right, that's not a question. Koya Moon, question: when we get clear with our intentions, and start to live each day with enhanced focus on our soul's joy, do the dwarves in our sacral chakra start to wake up and become less unconscious? That is such a complicated question. When we get clear with our intentions and start to live each day with enhanced focus on our soul's joy. You got me so far. Do the dwarves in our sacral chakra. Did I say that they dwelt in your sacral chakra? I never said that. They live in your lower self, which is your navel center. I didn't say they live in your sacral chakra. Do they start to wake up and become less unconscious? You mean, do they start to wake up and become aware or conscious? There's a double negative there you don't need. The short answer is yes. If you start focusing on your joy, like in the book that I put on here earlier, the Shamanic Secret Commandment to the Perfect Life, you start living according to your soul, your soul joy, your soul purpose, then yes, everything in your body becomes more aware, including the dwarves in your subconscious mind. Shake Ting, if you have a question, write the word question, otherwise I might miss it. Can these vampires ever be forcefully healed? Why would you need to forcefully do anything to anybody? I understand the question. I understand. I've been there. I've had that desire. No. You can't forcefully heal anybody because you're misunderstanding the whole thing. Number one, nothing can harm you without your permission. So if you have a vampire in your world, you've invited them in. That was your choice. You did it. Nobody's responsible but you. The only person that could have protected you was you. They can't force themselves on you. So then if we reverse engineer that, that means you can't force yourself on them. You want to forcefully heal them, not because you care about them or because you love them, but because you're afraid and you want something from them. How do I know that's how you feel? Because I've been there. You want them to be healed so you can have the fantasy that you want to have with them. Whether it's your abusive father who you want to love you, or whether it's your ex-girlfriend who you wish would get back together with you and love you the way that you wanted them to love you in the first place. You're trying to forcefully heal them out of your own selfishness, which will only open you up to more abuse. No, you cannot forcefully heal them. They are beings that have their own choice, and even though they've been severely damaged and we should have compassion for them, they at any moment can choose to decide to heal. And once that happens, that will open up a chain of events which will bring things to them and people to them. And then if they come to you and say, hey, I need some help, can you help me? And you say, yes, let's call the psychologist right now. And let's get you some help. Yes, let's call the hospital right now. Let's get you in to treatment. Let's call AA right now and get you sober. If they don't ask for your help, you can do nothing for them. You need to cut them off. You need to have no contact with them and work on yourself. Otherwise, you will attract another one. This is all simple codependent stuff, guys. I'm not saying anything fabulously spiritual. It's just basic codependence. You know, most of the people, I have to tell you, most of the people that find me are codependent and should be in some kind of 12-step group or should be in some kind of counseling. I'm just telling you right off the bat. That's just the fact of our society. Lipstick Chick question. Who did you study and learn from? Why are you asking me that? Do you realize that's disrespectful? How does that help you? Right now, in this moment, have my teachings struck as being truthful? If they have, then perhaps listening to me and applying what I teach might be helpful for you. Asking me who I studied from is disrespectful to me. I know you don't mean it that way. It doesn't serve you, because what if I trained with the most powerful teacher in the world? That doesn't mean that I've learned anything or that I have the wisdom to know what to do with it. I could have studied with the most idiot person in the world, but the universe gave me the ability to take that idiocy and turn it into something powerful. If you want to study with me, study with me. Who I learned from serves nothing for you other than curiosity. What region of the world was it? Why do you care? Did you ever go to college? Why do you care? And if so, did you study psychology there? I'm new to the channel and started watching a week ago. I answer all of those questions at some point in my videos. And I answer them when it's inappropriate to what I'm trying to teach. So if you really want to, if you're really that interested in me, I recommend you watch my channel. Go and binge watch the videos and you will get enough. There's even a video that says, how did I become the Thunder Wizard? Again, people, if you're new to the channel, I want you to pay attention and put effort. That means go onto my channel, start typing in search things into the search bar for the channel, start watching the channel. The best thing you can do is watch that. I've got over 600 videos. Most of that stuff I would charge thousands of dollars to teach. Go learn. Go put the effort into it. Then when you've learned what it is I teach, then you can ask me a question about what I teach, and I won't be offended. I'll be excited because I know that you're learning from me. When you ask questions like that I know you're not learning from me and you're being lazy and you're not honoring me, then I'm going to come at you this way. Okay? I know you didn't mean any disrespect, but this is old school, by the way. This is old school learning. You go and learn from some guy in the mountains of the Himalayas. This is how they will respond. You go to China and you want to work with a Qigong master, a martial arts master. If you say anything like, my teacher told me blah, 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 what do you think? He will say, thank you, there's the door. Because it's disrespectful. And it's disrespectful not just because of that, but it also doesn't help you learn. I'm going to teach you how to learn. If you work with me, I will teach you how to learn, how to make the most out of your questions and out of your thinking, how to ask the right questions which will give you knowledge that will practically benefit you. Learning about me personally and all those things does nothing for you. It doesn't teach you how to learn anything that I teach. It just gives you the false impression that you know something about me, and therefore you know something about what I teach. And you don't. And it doesn't matter. This is one of the reasons why teachers create an air of mystery around them. A lot of people do it because they're frauds and because they like that, but a lot of them consciously do it because they know that helps the student learn. Once you think you know me, you won't learn anything. This is why a teacher should never have a personal or romantic interaction with a student, because at some point the student will find out who they really are, and then they won't respect any of the teaching. If you don't know who I am, and if you respect my teaching, it doesn't matter to me whether you do or not, but if you do, and you have some idealized view of me, that's actually in your best interest. Now, I will destroy that. If you bring that to me and you try and tell me I'm something I'm not, I will destroy that, because I'm only human. But I also know that you have to have that projection and transference onto me, which will open you up to learn. You know, there's a movie out there, it was on Netflix, I forget the name of it. It's about a guy, an Indian guy. If somebody knows the name, put it on there. It's about an Indian guy who is an American, but he's East Indian, and he went to India to try and learn from the gurus, and he didn't get it. He thought it was ridiculous. So he came back and he dressed himself up as this Indian guru, and he went around talking like this to everybody, and he went to go prove everybody that was all nonsense. And he went and he got this following, and it was amazing how many people flocked to him simply because he dressed like an Indian, and he said, and he would teach nonsense. In fact, he would sit in front of people and he would say, I'll do it without the accent, because the accent, you can't hear it, and people are looking up at him. But without the accent, he would say, you're coming here to learn from me because you think I am something, but I'm nothing. I'm no different than you, and I don't know anything. Don't waste your time listening to me. Don't listen to teachers. It's a waste of your time. When you said, you have come to me because you want to learn, and you think that I have something to tell you, but I am not different than you. And no guru has anything for you. You must find it within yourself. And people hear it in a totally different way. And then afterwards, at the end of the movie, let's see, has anybody found it yet? At the end of the movie, he was going to reveal himself. But what ended up happening is that because he was committed and he made up these meditations, he made them up. He made up something called the blue light meditation, completely made it up. And he started teaching this blue light meditation, and these amazing things started happening to people. This one person came to him and said, I'm overweight and I want to change my diet and I want to get healthier. How can I do that? And he said, I don't know. What do you think? Well, I think I should start doing this and I should start doing that. And he said, that sounds very wise. I think that you should do that. And then afterwards she's like, oh, he's so amazing, and he helped me find the truth, and I went and did it and started losing weight and her life got better. He didn't do anything. It would have been the same as if you went up to some homeless guy and said, I want to lose weight and get healthier. What should I do? And the guy's farting and saying, I don't know. What are you asking me for? Why don't you figure it out for yourself? It's no different. So at the end of all of this, he's got all these people and he's going to reveal something. And what he's going to do is he's going to come out and take off cut his hair and his beard and say, I made the whole thing up. I was trying to prove to you that it's all nonsense. And what ended up happening is that so many people had benefited from his teaching that he had real reservations about. He didn't want to hurt them. He felt he had lied to them. And, it totally backfired on him. He decided to follow through with it. And he came out and he told them who he was. Half of them stood up and clapped and the other half walked out. They were so hurt because he had betrayed their trust. But it's a very valuable lesson. You're asking me, who am I? Who did I study with? Where did I blah, blah, blah? As if that fucking means anything. It doesn't. I could be pulling things out of my ass. If you believe it and you apply it and it makes your life better, what difference does it make where I learned it from? Who cares? So I ask you again, is what I'm saying, does it strike you as truth? If it does, follow it and see where it takes you. And if you don't think anything of me, you think I'm a fraud, there's plenty of channels to watch. You can go watch about alien abductions and all that other garbage out there. All right, what else? Has alcohol, you have to ask a question, write the word question. Has alcohol have any positive spiritual significance in your casual private moments? What difference does it make? Why are you asking? What do you care? The only reason you're asking me is because you want to know if you should be drinking alcohol, and that's none of my business. I don't give a crap if you drink alcohol or not. Has it given you any spiritual significance in your casual private moments? I've already told you that alcohol will destroy the liver, and it attacks the liver, and it makes people, even with the one drink, will turn people into belligerent people. So I don't drink alcohol at all for that reason. So that should answer part of your question. But I don't give a crap. If you want to have a drink and you think, if you want to tell yourself it gives you positive spiritual significance in your casual private moments, go do it. I don't care. Zeralath, question. Can you tell us about the influence of Muspelheim on the fire giants in our lower self? So Zeralath, my friend, you over-spiritualize this stuff. You over-intellectualize these things. All of the mythology that you're pulling from, it is real, but it's also symbolic. So your question doesn't have any significance. Okay? Go watch more of my talk about, I've got books on the, thunder shamanism, the thunder wheel, the medicine wheel. Go watch those videos about that and absorb that. But your question is a strange question, and it's coming from a really intellectualized place. I'd like to get you back into your emotions. So I think you live too much in your intellect. We want to get it into your emotions. I appreciate the question. I definitely appreciate you being on the channel and following the path and all the support you give. That's the kindest thing that I can say to you. Your question doesn't serve you. Okay. Maxwell, okay, no question. I'm just looking for questions. Lipstick chick question. I apologize. That's not a question. You don't have to apologize. I don't take any of it personally. Now I can talk about astrology. In Vedic astrology, there is a thing called the Aruta Lagna, which means the mount of the self. So everyone has one. I have one. Mine is Mars in Libra in the third house. So if you know anything about Vedic astrology, Mars in the third house makes somebody very direct. And it means that they communicate directly and harshly, and they don't put up with any garbage. I am not offended by your question. I am living my aruta, which is I'm doing my job. When I turn this off and I become myself again, I will become a much kinder, much calmer person. I will communicate much more differently, not because I'm being a different person, but because I'm right now in my aruta, which is this is my career, and my career is to be direct. So if you want to find out what your aruta is, you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com and click on astrology, or you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and we can find out what yours is. But it doesn't hurt me. If you want to be on my channel, just get used to it. If there's any crack or any bullshit or any denial or something, I'm going to go after it. And that's for everybody's benefit. And I know, and I apologize, sometimes I can be a little too harsh, and my apologies if that's the case. Is there a specific video you can direct me to? I've already given you the title of the video, How I Became the Thunder Wizard. Go figure out how to search within my channel. A lot of people don't. It's not searching YouTube. That's a waste of time. Find out how to search within somebody's channel and search for How I Became the Thunder Wizard. Question, it sounds like a lot of people make choices from unconscious agendas and motives. We all do. The majority of all of our actions and choices are made from our unconscious mind. In fact, my teacher said, and I am willing to accept it, he said, there are two choices that can only be made from the unconscious: your career and your romantic relationships, especially your marriage. You can't avoid marrying somebody out of your unconscious, and you can't avoid choosing careers out of your unconscious. Everybody makes choices from their unconscious agendas and motives. The whole point of all this is to become aware of what they are. Does this mostly stem from suppressed fears from childhood? That has a huge part of it, yes. This would probably attract energy vampires. Yes, it is. Anytime that if an energy vampire comes into your life, it means that you're unconscious about something, and at the very least you can use them to go, okay, why am I attracted to this person? I can tell you, I already told you why I was attracted to this woman who tore me a new one and just hurt me, I mean, literally worse than anybody in my entire 56 years. And that's saying a lot. She took on the role of exactly how my partner who died, how she treated me. So she either intuitively or I manifested somebody who acted that way, and then I fell right back into it out of my own unresolved pain and fear and sadness and loneliness and all that. But she also reminded me of my mother. And so I got a chance to get a concentrated look at my mother's ambivalence and neglect and devaluation that I went through as a kid. My mom wasn't as full-blown as this woman was, but a lot of the same traits were there. And so it was an opportunity for me to look at that. So there was no way around it. I mean, if I'm going to get through that, it's going to come up in some way. This is why practicing, this is the idea behind being celibate and doing meditation, because you will either, through meditation, being in the wilderness and not looking at internet and not having that and meditating, and all the stuff starts coming up and you realize all of your unconscious garbage, or you do it in relationships with people. They come up with people. There's no other way around it. You have to face them. They're going to come up. The best way is to become aware before it smacks you on the head. It kind of hurt. Daniel B. question, is there a direct correlation between the Elder Futhok runes and chakras? No, there's 7 chakras and 24 runes. I don't think there's a direct one, no. I could be wrong. I'm okay if somebody proves me wrong on that. Jake 958 question, what can I do to alter my subconscious programming? You mean your unconscious programming? That's annoying. There are 3 minds: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Watch my channel. Anything that I teach, the Qigong I teach, any of the rituals that I teach, if you get a Vedic astrological reading from me, I will find in your chart the planet and the mantra and the deity that you need, which will do exactly what you're asking. Can this help to strengthen my own psychological boundaries? Yes. Working with a teacher. This is one of the reasons why people come to me and become an apprentice, thunderwizard.com. You can go there and sign up for the apprenticeship course where I work with you directly. This is what I do. I help people become aware of their unconscious so that they can do exactly what you're asking. But this is the point of all spiritual work. The point of this channel is not to listen to me talk. The point of my channel is that you go buy the books, go do the exercises, whether you pay for a service or do it for the free ones. The 600 plus free videos, of which there are hundreds of free energy meditations and mantras and stuff. People want to get on my case about charging. You know, if you've gone through all of my free videos and done every single thing on there, which you cannot do in one lifetime, you will never have to pay a cent. So The whole point of this channel is to do the work I'm telling you to do. Do the practices, stop the talking. I do the talking to get attention and to put attention on the practices and to help answer questions from people who are doing the work. That's the real point of the talking. And and it's my business. So, but to answer your question, that's my answer to your question. Tarot reviews, if you have a question, I'll answer a question. Lipstick, question. Can you please make a playlist for beginners who are new? Lipstick chick, you're asking me to do your work for you. I've done that. You're going to have to put the time and effort to find it. Thunderwizard.com is exactly what you're asking for. I've put together exactly from A to Z, shamanism from A to Z, and then I have the Manifestation Mastery course. You have to subscribe for those, but you're asking me to do your work for you. Two main things in this life: pay attention, put effort. Do it yourself. There's more than enough on there. You put the effort into it. That's how I learned. Okay? If you want me to do the work for you, then you're going to have to pay for the subscription. So those are your two choices. You do the work yourself or pay me for the subscription and I did the work for you. Okay? So I can give you what you want. Those are the two ways to get it. L.R. Lavallee, question. What does Plato's Cave mean to you? So once again, I do not answer questions about other teachers, and I do not answer questions about other teachings. If you want to not offend me, do not ask me about something I don't teach. Okay? I don't teach anything about Plato's Cave on this channel. All right, so we've run out of questions for the moment. I am going to now take a short break, but in the meantime, I'm going to share with you about this celestial Qigong that I talked about, which is the most powerful energy work I know of. I've had energy masters, Tai Chi masters, Qigong masters, yoga masters, who have taken this, who have come to me and said, in all my 40 years of mastery, I have never experienced anything this powerful. I've had people come to me and say, I did your celestial Qigong and this blue ancestral being, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not making any promises that you'll have either of those experiences, but this is my thing. This is one thing that will overpower any of the negativity or any energy vampires out there. This is the most powerful thing that I can teach on video. There are other things I can teach in person, but it's too dangerous. In any case, here it is. Hi, I'm Michael Denny of SpiritTao.com, and this is Celestial Negung Part 1. Celestial Negung means that this is power that is descending from heaven. And the idea is that we are all microcosms of the entire universe. You are the entire universe, and everything around you is simply the projection. You are looking within yourself. So when you look up into the stars at night, you're actually looking deep within your own body. When you look at the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, you're looking within yourself. This is Negung. And so what we're doing is we're simply releasing that infinity from within us. You are tapping into and releasing the power that is within our own body, our own cells, our own organs. So one of the reasons that I'm making this DVD is in the hope that the essence and the spirit of the teaching of the Shang-Ching arts can be taught to the world at large, and it is my hope that the core essence of what the Shang-Ching tradition is will continue to live and grow and evolve. As we move on into the Aquarian age, everything is changing. I don't need to tell you that. The entire world is changing, and what we are seeing now is that if people hold on to external things, they are very challenged in life. And those who are making the transition into the next phase that we are moving into in the world as we approach 2012, Those who look within and find their source of strength from within, those are the people who are getting the most out of life and will make the transition into the next phase of evolution most comfortably. It is my belief that the Shang Qing tradition is one method whereby human beings can evolve into the next level of being in the most comfortable fashion and be able to take advantage of the rapid, energetic, mental, and spiritual changes that are going on in the world today. All right, coming July 2009. Let's see here. Where are my... Okay, here we go. These links are all here for a reason. Please make use of them. Again, these live stream YouTube things are the 1%. The least valuable thing that I teach is just sitting here talking. If you really want to be able to apply all of it, it's going to take practical application. All of these links serve one purpose. ThunderWizard.com is, as I said earlier, is the advanced shamanism course. Takes you from A to Z. I teach you everything you need to know about shamanism and ritual, energy work, divination, gods, goddesses, the 5 elements, the 8 directions, the breath. ThunderWizard.com, the first level of subscription. The second level of subscription is the Manifestation Mastery course, where I teach you everything you need to know from my perspective about how to create the life that you want. Courses.thunderwizard.com. All of my books, all of my videos, all of my streaming courses, everything on there, you know, all of the services, the astrology, the energy healing, the rune readings, the certifications. You can get certified in all kinds of things. All that stuff is at courses.thunderwizard.com. Energyhealing.thunderwizard.com is a service I've just created, which I'm getting a lot of very good positive feedback from. And I'll tell you what I do. I have focused my spirit fighting energies and tailored it to destroy negativity and create the highest vibration with whomever I'm focusing on, whether that be myself or whether that be with other people. And so if you get an energy healing from me, that means I take you into my personal practice and I put you in that, and as if I'm going after the devil himself. So a lot of people have come back and told me all kinds of crazy things. Some people have had no experience whatsoever. Doesn't matter. You know, you get whatever it is you need out of it. Of course, subscribe and hit the bell button. All right, let's see if there's any more questions. We'll keep talking. If not, I'll make a call it an evening. Koya Moon, question, is it possible that living in the, quote, consumerism age where people want to consume food, material goods, content, etc., causes them to take less action? Yes. Yep. I mean, you said it. There's nothing left to say. You said it. Yeah, Lipstick Chick, I feel like I'm being misunderstood sometimes. So Lipstick Chick, bear in mind, you're not alone. One of the things that's going to happen when people work with me or interact with me is you're going to get the thunder. And the thunder will jolt you to your core. And I have a very low tolerance threshold for any kind of unconsciousness or denial. And so sometimes when people ask questions, what I'm responding to isn't even what they're asking, it's what I'm sensing underneath that needs to be jolted to the surface. So I think I gave you a hard time about, you know, you wanted me to do the work for you, make a playlist for you. And so I am directly and consciously jolting you out of that laziness. You expect me to do your work for you. Why should I do that? You want me to go spend my free time for nothing and go onto my channel and make a playlist for you so that you can see all the the thousands of hours of videos that I've made for you. Not that there's anything wrong with making that playlist, but you understand the attitude behind your question. That you just expect that my job is to work for you for free and make it easy for you. When I go on to YouTube or when I go to learn from somebody, I go out of my way to find everything that I can. Back in the day, in the 80s, the 90s, when I was doing most of this work, I had to go physically to bookstores. And I would go to bookstores hundreds of miles away and look through to find what I was looking for. I didn't have the benefit you guys have. And it made you guys lazy. So it's disrespectful of you to ask me to do your work for you. But besides that, it doesn't serve you, because if you want to learn one of the main things, just the act of putting effort. I don't know, where should I look? I'm going to look there, I'm going to look there, I'm going to look there, I'm going to watch this, I'm going to watch that. Just that attitude opens up your mind and you learn just from that action. That's one of the reasons why I tell people to figure out how to search on my channel. Don't ask me to tell you what it is. I don't know which one it is. You got so many videos. Well, so put some effort into it. Figure out how to look. Figure out how to search within the channel. Figure out how to take, again, do you know how to go to a person's channel page and search within their channel? If you don't know how to do that, go figure it out. Forget about my channel. You'll get a hell of a lot more out of anybody else's channel. Okay? So are you feeling attacked? I am personally targeting you. You feel misunderstood because most of the time you get through life and people will give you what you need. They placate you. Most people don't want to rock the boat, and most people don't care about you enough to tell you enough information, to tell you what you need to do. I do. I care about you enough that I'll tell you what you need to hear, whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Plenty of places you can go. People will tell you what you want. So it's okay that you feel misunderstood. I don't misunderstand you. I am actually telling you that I'm pointing out a flaw in you that's not helpful for you. And it's going to be uncomfortable when I do that. I really would appreciate just the questions, you guys, not the comments. Even if it's a cheerleader comment, it takes time away from me reading questions because I'm reading all of the things that aren't questions. Skate King 303 question. I have a void in my spiritual self. Well, you feel like you have a void in your spiritual self. We don't know that. That's how you feel. And again, assumptions. Whenever somebody is asking a question and they first create an assumption, you're asking me to believe and see things from your perspective, and I don't want you to try and tell me how to think. So you could say it feels like I have a void in my spiritual self. That helps me understand how you feel. But let's keep going. I have a void in my spiritual self. Is it more beneficial to look into my darkness or look away and forget? I've said this before. You're probably new to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Please, I invite you to watch. I just recently made a video about shadow work. Having said that, I hate that word. I'm going to do some shadow work. I was doing some shadow work and I found this thing inside of me. It bothers me because it's superficial. It trivializes your essence. There isn't a shadow side and a light side. There is just you. And there are the parts of you that you are comfortable with and the parts that you are not comfortable with. If somebody had been raised to believe that their sexuality was evil, then they would say, I did some shadow work on my sexuality and I found that I do like it. I like sex. It's wrong, I know. They think it's wrong, so it's their shadow self. And not everybody is effeminate. I'm just making a funny voice. But the whole thing of, should I look at my shadow or should I... So are you asking me, should you just deny the things that make you uncomfortable? No. No. Look, what I teach is here's what enlightenment is. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Do you want to know what enlightenment is? Enlightenment is having the awareness to know what actions will be constructive for you and others, and how to take actions towards that constructive life regardless of how you feel. Modern day people want to feel good all the time. The law of attraction says, now I'll use the funny voice. You know, if you just focus on positive feelings, positive things will happen. And don't think about anything negative, because then negative things will happen. And that's not true. You're full of positive and negative all the time. And your feelings do not determine your outcome. Your actions determine your outcome. Your consciousness determines your actions determines your outcome. Your feelings are the result. And your feelings do not dictate your actions. No matter how painful or difficult it is, you can take a different action than what you're feeling. So why do you want to look away and forget? What does that mean? What the hell does that mean? No, you should look at everything and experience all of your feelings and learn how to take actions that are healthy. So it's not just shadow and dark, light or good, everything. Look at all of yourself and forget about what's dark and what's light. And be willing to look at the things that are painful and be able to have those feelings and still take conscious action. Lipstick chick, that's not a question. So, but look, I'm going to say it again. It's in everybody's best interest to only ask questions. Because when you make statements, especially ones to defend yourself, you are only walking into my trap and I'm going to eat you alive. Lipstick chick, you are defending yourself. You walked into my trap. I'm going to continue to show you the faults in your thinking that don't serve you. I was unaware of the websites. What is that above my head? How are you unaware? You've been looking at them this whole time. Pay attention, put effort. Two things that will get you through life. I just heard that celestial qigong was very powerful. I'm also going to check my astrology chart too. I'm going to start searching in the channel. You spoke accurately. Okay, so I'm done beating you up. You didn't if you hadn't told me that you weren't aware of the websites, I wouldn't have come after you. But again, that's just for everybody. Don't ask, don't say anything unless it's a question. All right, I don't see any more questions here, so I am going to cut it short. We've been on for, how long have we been on? A long time. I'm going to end it for today. So I've said everything there is to say. Thunderwizard.com, courses.thunderwizard. There's one last thing. I'm going to get rid of this coming up here soon. Because very few people have purchased this, and it's sad because I think it's one of the most, if not the most valuable group of services that I offer, and it's really in your interest to do it. And that is, let me find it here. Is that it? Nope. Where the hell is it? Sorry, one last thing. One last look here. Here we go. So is it this one? Yep. neo.thunderwizard.com. Those 4 tools, if you understand those 4 tools, and those are 4 different teachings. One of them is thunderwizard.com, but the other 3 are separate teachings that if you master them, and if you learn how the universe functions, you will be able to get the universe to obey your commands. And it's saddening to me. I was really pushing that for a long time, and almost nobody took it. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to just dismantle it and take it off. But before I do, I get it before it's gone, because once it's gone, I won't come back to it. I tend to forget things, but I really recommend that. Okay. Was there any last minute questions? I see people saying something over here. Nope, that's it. All right, guys. Talk to you next time, probably tomorrow. Take care.